The old man of the mountain is one of those very synonymous things with New Hampshire, same with moose and bears and live free or die. And one of those things about the old man that people don't realize is that he was in danger as long as we knew about him, and we were very concerned about him falling down. And then people started taking care of him. And it's very likely that if they hadn't done so, my generation never would have seen him. Maybe your generation never would have seen him. And that family that became the caretakers of the old man of the mountain, the Nielsen family, we're going to meet the last caretaker of the old man of the mountain now, David Neilsen.
Between 6,000 and 17,000 years ago, North America was covered by a giant ice cap. And as the earth began to heat up, that ice cap began to melt. And as that ice cap began to melt over the years, it began to push the ground, or furrow the ground. And it actually created the mountains, rivers, lakes that we have in North America now. So we know that the old man was created around that time period, but we don't know exactly when. We don't know when the first people began to see the old man, but we do know around 1640 that the American Indians had a legend which said if you follow the great Merrimack River north, you would find the headwaters of the Merrimack River, and you would find it guarded by a giant stone face. And in fact, Profile Lake is one of the headwaters of the Merrimack River. So we know that they knew about him. The problem is that they never wrote anything down, so we don't know who discovered him for the Indians. But we do know that in 1805, there was a group of surveyors working in Franconia Notch, dividing up Franconia Notch and creating towns and that type of stuff. It was simply a wagon cart path through Franconia Notch, nothing like the four-lane highway we have and the two-lane highway, nothing like that now. So the two surveyors given most credit for discovering the old man, a Luke Brooks and a Francis Whitcomb, walked down to the lake one morning, young guys in their 20s, and they were getting ready to get some water for coffee and wash up, and as they bent over, they looked down into the water, and there's a face staring up at them from the water. The face was actually the reflection from the mountain. The two of them stepped back, looked up, thought for a minute, and one of them poked the other one and said, "Hey, Thomas Jefferson." An idea historically how things all fit in together. Now, around 1905, Reverend Guy Roberts, who's the Methodist minister from Whitefield, New Hampshire, an avid hiker in the area, climbed to the old man and found that the rock that made up his forehead stone had begun to slip out. And it gave him this big, giant, proud forehead that we know about. The problem was that as he looked at it, he could clearly see that almost 3/4 of the length of the rock was hanging out in midair. He was pretty sure it was going to fall. So he sounded the alarm. He went to the governor and council and explained to them that he needed to fix his problem. And they agreed that they needed to fix the problem, but in their infinite speed and wisdom, it took them 10 years to raise the money. 10 years later, they decided they would pay for the restoration, or pay for the 3 turnbuckles to be installed between the forehead stone and the mountain itself. The following year, 1916, work was actually done, and the work was done by Edward Geddes, who came from Quincy, Massachusetts. He worked in a granite quarry in Quincy, Massachusetts. And in granite quarries, which has sheer cliff walls, once in a while they would have a rock that would push itself out. It would look like it was going to fall. They'd want to hook it to that rock, hook it to the wall. They did this through a machine called a grip, through a turnbuckle. The way a turnbuckle works is you screw one end into a rock over here and then one end into a rock over here. And when you pull the 2 ends together, it stops it from moving. In 1916, we did not have portable electricity. When Ed Geddes drilled holes in these rocks, he had a drill bit in one hand and a hammer in the other. And he'd hit it, and he'd turn it, and he'd hit it, and he'd turn it, and he'd hit it, and he'd turn it. until he drilled 6 holes, almost 3.5 inches around, 6 inches wide in the inside, and 5 and something inches deep. So they had to look like this on the inside. Put all the pieces together, turn the middle, tighten it all up. He did an incredible job. He did a job in 1916 we could not do better today with laser technology. That 4-head stone never moved again from 1916. The state of New Hampshire went through several different changes up until around 1960. My dad went to work for the state of New Hampshire as a bridge builder. The state of New Hampshire decided that somebody needed to take care of the old man. And since these people weren't afraid to be of heights, they were used to being up on high bridges, they would go to work on the old man. And it began what my dad called his labor of love. In 1969, I made my first trip to the old man with my dad because he used to tell all his friends that he went to the old man to give him a shave and a haircut. And at 11 years old, I couldn't figure out how you gave a rock a shave and a haircut. And that's sort of how he tricked me into learning about the old man. We went to the old man's doorstep, mushroom rock, and things like that that we learned along the way. And each one of those things, at the time, I didn't realize that he was teaching me. All I knew was that these were fun things that we did along the way. My dad was nominated and made the first official caretaker of the old man by Governor Sununu, and I replaced my dad, Governor Gregg, as the second and turned out to be last caretaker.